to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Good evening, I'm Alma Angeles, and you're watching ASEAN in Focus on tonight's headlines. Filipinos reach for the stars. The Philippine team up with NASA. Yes, the agency that put humans on the moon to fight a down-to-earth problem, air pollution. Unity call in the Indo Pacific. Laos, leading the ASEAN Pac, urges closer ties with the EU to navigate the complex region. Will they join forces? IPEF. Trade deal or power play? The Biden administration's Indo-Pacific economic framework raises eyebrows. Is it about business or geopolitics? Experts dissect its potential and challenges as 3 out of 4 pillars get signed, but the key trade pillar remains elusive. In a call for unity and collaboration, Laos, the current chair of ASEAN, has urged closer cooperation with the European Union in navigating the complex landscape of the Indo-Pacific region. Speaking at the EU Indo-Pacific Ministerial Forum in Brussels, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister Saluk Smax Komasith emphasized the importance of an open, inclusive, and rule-based regional order.
The Asia-Pacific and Indian Ocean regions, or Indo-Pacific, are one of the most important and dynamic regions and a center of economic growth. ASEAN attaches great importance to these regions as ASEAN lies in their center. We view the dynamics in the Indo-Pacific should continue to bring about peace, stability, development, and prosperity for the people in Southeast Asia and beyond. Against this backdrop, ASEAN adopted the ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific in 2019. The AOIP served as a guide for ASEAN in engaging with all external partners in the Asia-Pacific and Indian Ocean regions on the 4 identified key areas, namely maritime cooperation, connectivity, UN SDG, economic and other possible areas of cooperation.
He also stressed ASEAN's commitment to these principles and highlighted the upcoming 24th ASEAN-EU ministerial meeting as a crucial platform for strengthening their strategic partnership.
We believe that connectivity and resilience responds to the needs of both ASEAN and European Union. As the chair of ASEAN this year, the Lao PDR stands ready to work with the European Union to advance the ASEAN-EU strategic partnership to a new height. This year is also a Visit Lao year 2024, so we look forward to welcoming more European tourists and tourists from other parts of the world to the Lao PDR.
Komasith also applauded the EU's initiative like the Global Gateway and Team Europe on sustainable connectivity, noting their alignment with ASEAN's ongoing efforts.
We should further explore ways and means to streamline our initiative where possible for mutual benefits of our 2 regions. Excellencies, the Lao PDR is chairing ASEAN this year with the theme ASEAN Enhancing Connectivity and Resilience. We believe that connectivity and resilience responds to the needs of both ASEAN and European Union. As the chair of ASEAN this year, the Lao PDR stands ready to work with the European Union to advance the ASEAN-EU strategic partnership to a new height. This year is also a Visit Lao year 2024, so we look forward to welcoming more European tourists and tourists from other parts of the world to the Lao PDR.
Staying at the EU Indo-Pacific Ministerial Forum, Sweden's Foreign Minister Tobias Billström emphasized the complex challenges facing both Europe and the Indo-Pacific. Billstrom highlighted the global impact of the war in Ukraine and the tensions in the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait. He stressed the importance of upholding the UN Charter and a rules-based international order.
We face complex and interconnected security challenges. The geopolitical competition and deterioration of the global security environment affects both our regions. The continuation of Russia's war against Ukraine, as well as the grave situation in the Middle East, affect us all. And we're also deeply concerned about the tensions in the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. We must work together in upholding the UN Charter and the rules-based international order. We must also ensure maritime security in the Indo Pacific for peace and stability, as well as for safeguarding trade and critical supply chains.
He also condemned economic coercion and called for tackling non-traditional security threats like cybercrime and disinformation.
Integral to our shared principles is the recognition that economic coercion is harmful and destabilizing. There is also a number of non-traditional security threats of serious concerns for both our regions, such as transboundary organized crime, space and cyber threats, hybrid warfare and disinformation. There is a need to build capacity, especially on new technologies such as AI, and strategies to tackle these threats together.
He expressed hope that the forum will deepen the dialogue on prosperity, sustainability, and security. He firmly believes that joint action can make a real difference.
The tremendous potential for a deeper and more integrated economic cooperation. 40% of the EU's trade is with the Indo-Pacific. And to foster shared prosperity and capitalize on the opportunities in both our regions, it is essential to encourage economic growth and enhance our resilience. The nexus of trade, global challenges, and security is evident in global value chains. An ambitious free trade agenda is essential. Increasing trade and investments with all partners in the Indo-Pacific region is important to create robust supply chains. In a free and open market, innovative and competitive businesses contribute both to growth and welfare and to the green and digital transitions. So let us work together towards removing trade barriers and implementing a mutually beneficial trade agenda. Second, the urgency of combating climate change is an undeniable fact. The Indo-Pacific region is one of the most vulnerable to the consequences of climate change. More extreme weather events are expected to threaten the livelihood and safety of millions across the region. And for many, including several small island states, the climate change is already an existential threat. Sweden and the EU is firmly committed to the Paris Agreement.
The Biden administration's Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, or IPEF, aims to shape the future of trade and cooperation in the region. But is it driven by politics or economics? With 3 out of 4 pillars signed at the recent APEC summit, IPEF faces scrutiny. One key pillar focused on trade remains unfinished. Experts weigh in on the framework's potential and challenges. William Reinsch, international business expert, raises concerns.
I think I can't help but look at this as largely a political exercise, and maybe that's because of the 20 years I spent on congressional staff looking at things politically. I think the administration made a decision early on, even before they won in 2020, that they simply didn't want to have any intra-party battles amongst Democrats over trade policy. They had one in 2016 on TPP, which we all remember, which was not a happy experience for anybody.
He sees companies shifting production away from China, citing the China Plus One strategy.
In the search for supply chain resilience, I think what we're seeing is some migration away from China, either people leaving, or I think more often people identifying Chinese choke points and then simply creating redundant capability somewhere else. And that somewhere else is often in Southeast Asia. And in my conversations with Southeast Asian governments, I think all of them are salivating at the prospect of companies engaging in the China plus one strategy. And who's going to be the plus one? Is it going to be Indonesia? Is it going to be Philippines? Is it going to be Vietnam? Or all of the above.
However, Mark Milley, representing the U.S. ASEAN Business Council, offers a different perspective.
7 of the 10 ASEAN member states are full participants in the IPEF process. So in some ways, there's a strong U.S.-ASEAN dimension to IPEF, even though IPEF is not a U.S.-ASEAN kind of framework or engagement.
He acknowledges the preference for TPP, but sees IPEF as a positive step towards deeper U.S. engagement in regional trade.
I think from the outset, and just kind of to build on some of the observations that my good friend Barbara offered, and I think it's important to really highlight the fact that the ASEAN member states that are part of IPEF, are fully engaged. Definitely welcome the initiative, probably as their second best method or approach to deepening U.S. engagement in some of the initiatives that are influencing sort of Asia's regional trade architecture. Obviously, we all know the majority of IPEF members, their first choice would have been for America to sort of rejoin the CPTPP. But in the absence of that, their second best option, again, was perceived as being involved in the IPEF process.
And it's getting a bit splashy on the West Coast as the first of 2 powerful storms makes its way through. This Pineapple Express weather pattern is bringing tropical rain and mountain snow, causing some road closures and flood warnings. Imagine a giant river of moisture flowing from Hawaii, dumping its load on California. And that's what's happening. San Francisco already got soaked, and now it's Los Angeles turned to face flooded streets and closed highways. Some cars are even taking an unplanned swim. But wait, there's more. The mountains are expected to get up to 18 inches of snow by tomorrow. And the biggest storm of the season is still brewing for Sunday. Forecasters are predicting heavy rain, landslides, and even more flooding. Now, this may sound scary, but remember, California is used to dealing with winter storms. Last year's wet season helped refill depleted reservoirs after years of drought. However, scientists are still warning that climate change is making these storms wetter, more intense, and unpredictable. Tragedy strikes Chile once again as wildfires continue to rampage through central regions. The confirmed death toll has climbed to more than 100, according to the Interior Ministry. We now go to Kevin Cortez, who's in Chile, reporting on the latest developments.
Tragedy strikes Chile as wildfires tear through the Valparaiso region.
Quemada. Empezó el incendio, que fue como una llamarada grande, se quemó el jardín botánico, de ahí salió un viento terrible y prendió todo para arriba, todas las casas. La gente apenas alcanzó a arrancar, Se cortó el agua, lo primero que se cortó fue el agua.
Fanned by scorching heat and drought, these blazes have claimed lives and threatened hundreds of homes. Dozens of fires have erupted since Friday, devouring thousands of hectares of forest and shrouding coastal cities in a suffocating blanket of smoke.
Fue muy rápido. El viento salió y como que nos encerró desde el jardín botánico y saltaron hacia unos trozos de brasas prendidas. Mi casa está allá al frente. La estoy viendo cómo se quema.
The flames, described as extreme by authorities, have forced residents to flee their homes in towns like Estrella, Navidad, and even near popular surfing resort of Pichilemu. President Gabriel Boric declared a state of emergency, mobilizing all available resources to combat the inferno.
Ello hemos tomado la decisión de mantener el toque de queda, y el toque de queda se va a mantener todo lo que sea necesario sin ningún tipo de complejo. Quiero comunicarles que he decretado duelo nacional por 2 días a contar de mañana, lunes 5 de febrero. Porque es Chile entero el que sufre y llora a nuestros muertos. Y desde la región de Valparaíso le envío un abrazo solidario y mis más sentidas condolencias a cada una de las víctimas que ha perdido un ser querido y también a quienes han perdido sus casas, sus recuerdos, sus pertenencias.
He vowed to provide all the necessary resources to fight the fires and support those affected.
Esto era un infierno. Explosiones, autos, traté de ayudar a la vecina de ahí a apagar el auto. No pude, ocupé las botellas de agua, mi casa se estaba empezando a quemar por atrás. Logré apagarlo. De ahí fue como te digo, algo... No. El infierno yo creo que es poco.
Fue aterrador. Nunca en mi vida había vivido tanto miedo con una situación así. Mi ciudad está en llamas. Me duele tanto. Todavía estoy angustiada porque mi hijo estaba muy asustado.
The fires are fueled by a brutal summer heat wave and drought gripping southern South America, a phenomenon linked to the El Niño weather system. Scientists warn that climate change is making such disasters more frequent and intense. As Chile battles this devastating wave, the heat wave threatens to spread to Argentina, Paraguay, and Brazil in the coming days. The human cost of this tragedy is still unfolding. Homes are destroyed, lives are lost, and communities are left reeling.
Todo rodeado fue una cosa de segundos. Se vino el humo por abajo, por ahí arriba, y quedamos todos atrapados. Y si uno no salía, sí, es que fue de un momento a otro. Uno entró a su casa a buscar algo y saliste y ya estaba todo inundado. Todo, ya humo por todos lados, los niños ya perdiendo el conocimiento. Aquí se volcaron varios autos, aquí en la subida, porque la gente estaba escapando. Aquí nadie llegó ni diciendo escape, nada, fue de un momento a otro. ¿Cómo ven?
Reporting from Valparaiso Region, Chile, this is Kevin Cortez, and we live in extraordinary times.
Tensions are simmering in the Middle East as the U.S. responded to a drone attack on a Jordanian base that killed 3 American soldiers. U.S. forces launched airstrikes against Iranian-backed militias in Syria and Iraq, marking a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict. Now, the attack lately targeted 5 missiles in Yemen, including 1 land attack missile and 4 anti-ship missiles deemed an imminent threat to U.S. and merchant vessels in the Red Sea. And this comes after the 3rd joint military action by U.S. and UK forces against Yemen's Houthi rebels who have been targeting shipping in the region. Let's dive deeper with expert analysis.
The U.S. administration is doing everything it can to avoid getting into a broader war with Iran. For that reason, it did not strike any targets inside Iran, inside the territory of Iran. The administration has said this is not the end of it. The attacks will continue, and I think they've got two objectives. One is to deter Iran and its proxies, and the other is to degrade their capabilities for striking out against U.S. forces. And then the question is what the Iranian leadership chooses to do. My hope is that they realize they've miscalculated, they've gone too far, and they don't continue down this avenue. They've if President Biden had chosen not to act, I think there would have been political outcry against that. At the same time, though, there's no desire either in the administration or among the American public to see a broader war. So.
And here's Allison McManus, Managing Director for National Security at the Center for American Progress.
And so these strikes have a twofold purpose. One, they're meant to send a message to Iran that continued escalation will be met with retaliation. So they have a deterrent purpose. And the second is to to really strike at the infrastructure, to strike at the capabilities, to strike at the weapons caches of some of these Iranian-backed militias in Iraq and Syria who have been engaging in these pernicious targeted strikes on the U.S. So in that case, they do mark a significant change, and we could say a significant escalation, again, in response to the lethal attack on U.S. service members. So we have seen a change that should not be understated.
Now, the key takeaway, while the U.S. aims to deter further attacks, experts warn that the situation remains tense and the potential for escalation persists, whether these strikes achieve their intended effect and prevent further violence remains to be seen.
Big question, will they actually deter further attacks? I think the answer to that is no. We have not seen that. Similar tit-for-tat strikes have had a deterrent effect if what we're talking about is, will these militias actually stand down and stop their attacks on American infrastructure? The answer is most likely no. Absolutely, what we're seeing right now is an all-out regional conflict. What we're not seeing yet, and which we have seen calls for from some in the United States, including some very influential lawmakers, is a direct confrontation between the United States and Iran. The US president and Iran, frankly, have been very careful to make clear that they are not interested in this kind of an all-out conflict.
And good news, everyone. The Philippines is teaming up with NASA, the space agency that sent humans to the moon, to tackle a problem we all face, air pollution. Here's the exciting scoop. Now, NASA jets are coming to the Philippines to study the air around Metro Manila. And Filipino experts will join NASA scientists on these flights, learning cutting-edge techniques to fight pollution. This project, called Asia AQ, also involves partners from South Korea, Malaysia, and Thailand. It's a regional effort for cleaner air. Advanced technology like satellites and special planes will help us understand air pollution better, predict it more accurately, and create smarter solutions to keep our skies clear. This partnership involves not only NASA and the DENR, but also experts from South Korea, Malaysia, and Thailand. Additionally, Philippine institutions like the Space Agency, Manila Observatory, and universities will be actively involved. And finally, in our news, here's MJ Racario for his latest in showbiz.
Welcome to the first ever Manila International Film Festival over here at Directors Guild of America. So what can you say about the film festival, MJ?
Oh, you know, MJ, this is really great because we are making history in Hollywood.
Absolutely. Now let's find out everything that happened behind the scenes. Take a look.
Actually, the whole festival is important for me, to me. I really made time for this. Despite my schedule back home, I told my team, hindi po ako pwedeng mawala dito kasi this is the first. And this is like basically the kick-off for the following years for this festival. So I cannot miss this.
Lahat ng sumuporta, lahat ng nanood, lahat ng narating naming mga puso sa pamamagitan ng pelikula naming Rewind. Pero syempre higit sa lahat, thank you sa organizers. Alam niyo po kung gaano po namin na-appreciate ito na marating ang international stage.
It's amazing, showing amazing, excellent talent from the Philippines, telling our story, and this is just the beginning, you know. Now you can imagine anything, you know, all the stories you want to tell. We have the door open, and now it's time to expand and tell all our stories around the world.
Congratulations. I think this is amazing. I was able to see Gomburza yesterday, and it was incredible. I really commend everybody who was a part of that movie, but just the fact that everybody from Manila is here in Hollywood is long overdue. So I hope this becomes a yearly thing because
Yes,
it's definitely deserving.
Well, I'm happy. I mean, superlative, because you're here in the middle of the mainstream America, in Hollywood, the mainstream of the film dome of the world. You're in the center, and we are actually celebrating our films here in this part of the globe, in Hollywood. So it's really nice to meet the Filipino American community here. And of course, I wish there will be legitimate Hollywood agents who can actually pip in and join us and look what's going on here. So that would
And
be
what
nice.
I know is the first thing you did arriving here in Hollywood.
You know what? Okay, I ate a lot. The food here is really, really good, and a lot of good cafe americano. That's the
Cafe
first thing I
Americano.
think. Yeah.
I need the gumborza too.
And also, celebrating with my co-filmmakers here, and also meeting a lot of Filipino community and also Filipino community filmmakers that are here in the U.S.
Pinapakita po dito ang lakas at ang influence po ng pelikula para mag-forge ng unity between two groups of Filipinos back home and here. And I really hope that with a wonderful showing and the wonderful attendance at the cinemas these past few days, ay magkakaroon po ng pangalawa, tatlo, at marami pa pong ibang MIMF. Maraming salamat po sa mga organizers.
Firefly, Gumborza, Vilma Santos, Ding Dong Dantes, and Piolo Pascual were among the big winners announced in the closing night awards gala of successful inaugural Manila International Film Festival. Held Friday, February 2nd at the Directors Guild of America in Los Angeles. GMA Pictures fantasy drama Firefly won 4 awards. For Best Picture, Best Director Zig Delay, Best Supporting Actress Alessandra De Rossi, and Best Screenplay Angeli Atienza. Historical drama Gumborza bagged second Best Picture, Best Cinematography Carlo Canlas Mendoza, and Audience Favorite Award. Voted by the festival moviegoers who attended the screenings at TLC Chinese theaters from January 29 to February 1st. Veteran actress Hilda Cornell received MIFF's first Monte Manibog Lifetime Achievement Award. Recognition of her outstanding work in films directed by Philippine cinema's finest filmmakers.
It's a great honor to receive the first Lifetime Achievement Award from Attorney Gonzalo Monte Manibog. He was not only a great humanitarian and Olympian, but also served as councilman in Monterey Park.
That is it for entertainment news. MJ Ricardo here.
MB Ricardo here.
Always tune in to Net 25 because we live
In an extraordinary time.
As my usual habit, I'd like to end the day on a positive note. Let's encourage and build each other up so that no one is left behind. And that's it for tonight's broadcast. I'm Alma Angeles. Stay in the news because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.